Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Vice Press Open Channel Season 2, Episode 3. I'm James Henshaw, and as usual, I'm joined by Matt Ferguson.
Yeah, that's me.
Florrie. And Tom from the Dropcast.
What's up, peeps?
How is everybody doing this week?
Thinking.
I mean, it's been a short week here. We had no school on Monday because on Tuesday was International Women's Day. So we kind of, in Berlin, you have the day off here.
Oh, wow.
Year.
Well, that's quite
nice.
Cool.
It's a bank holiday, so that's great.
I got my wife some flowers and she was allergic to them. So that worked out well.
Good job, Florrie.
Yeah, celebrate the Women's Day.
Here you go. I'm going to try and bump you off for National Women's Day.
Yeah, that would have been a good start to a film or something.
Did you just have your anniversary, James? Your brain anniversary?
It's today. It's 2 years today since I had brain surgery. Yeah, it is.
Hey, and when are they going to put? He's not dead. When are they going to put your brain back in? Boom, stay down.
Yeah. So we're just until the next one, until the next surgery. This is the celebration point. So it's a bit of a weird one, really. But yeah, a bit of an odd one. I don't know how to kind of feel about that. I'm still here. I'm still okay. I'm still kind of relatively normal. So that's a positive, I guess, from that side of things.
Big call there.
Yeah. Anyway, on to more cheerful topics. The Batman. I guess that's the big thing that we've all kind of been to see this week and kind of wanted to spend some time talking about. And I guess for the sake of everybody watching, we are going to dive into some spoilers. We are going to kind of get into those full-on spoilers. So if you haven't seen it, I suggest you go and watch it, and then you can always watch this back. Or if you don't care about spoilers, then that's fine. If you kind of one of these that kind of, I guess, like most news websites. This is the thing, right? With a lot of news sites now.
Here he goes.
This really annoys.
They do the fucking opinion piece, don't they?
The statute of limitations now seems to be that websites are allowed to put spoilers in their article titles after 24 hours of a film coming out. To me, that is not. If a website, and there's some websites where we're friends of people that write for these websites, but still, if immediately unfollow. If you're a website that puts, wasn't it crazy when in the Batman XXX did such and such, after 2 days,
Vin Diesel's in the Batman.
Fuck off! You're gonna get that's an unfollow. That's not cool. That's not. I don't care whether you're trying to get clicks. I don't care whether you're gonna trying to drive traffic. That is not.
I think what it is, they don't have the websites you're talking about are more sort of fly by their pants. Like they're not hooked up with WB. They don't have the embargo date. They don't care. They're just in it for the clicks. So they'll post whatever will get people to click.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the internet, man.
I think the worst one I've ever seen was when Spider-Man came out. That seemed to be carte blanche. Immediately after Spider-Man came out, folks were just posting whatever they wanted. The No Way Home.
Oh yeah.
They were really terrible with that, and I think, but it wasn't even the stuff about like the 3 Spider-Men being in it. It was kind of other stuff throughout the film, like, oh, wasn't it terrible when May died and stuff like that. It's like, oh, brilliant, great stuff.
James, you didn't do a spoiler warning.
You just ruined someone's day.
We did a spoiler warning at the top of the episode.
That's for Batman.
I don't care. I'm not nerdist. So
I mean,
it's fine.
It's almost on. It's almost on Disney Plus, right? Or somewhere on streaming soon.
Yeah, not for a little while.
So Snowny won't let it on.
Yeah, that's true.
So anyway, that's my little rant about that. Batman.
It's really good. You guys said to me that you didn't think I'd like it.
No.
Can we roll back here for a second? Maybe we're gonna get Obi-Wan out of the way because Batman is probably gonna be the longer talk.
Okay, yeah, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, I figured.
That looks good, eh?
Everybody on board?
Looks cool.
The thing is that's a properly good trailer. That trailer is so
very
well
good
put together.
Except
when they hit you with the music, it's like, dun, dun, dun.
So is Maul gonna come or not?
Man. And then he looks cool. He looks like he's present. He's showed up.
If we've seen Rebels, has anyone seen
Yeah.
Star Wars Rebels?
I've seen some bits.
His face needs to.
So
did you see it on YouTube? They fixed it. They made the Grand Inquisitor look like the one on Rebels, which is the better way. I was like, the first time I've seen the glimpse of him just out of the corner of my eye, and I was like, is this
He looked
Palpatine?
like
Is it Palpatine?
They've changed that, have they? Or...
I don't really care because
Yeah.
because it's to me that's Rebels or Clone Wars. That's a filter put over Star Wars
Look
to make
at
it
like
cartoony.
how Dooku was in those, man.
Yeah, or
Like Christopher Lee's
Cad
like
Bane.
I wanted to have
egghead.
that beard for such a long time. The Dooku, the Dooku.
the
Clone
Grand
Wars beard.
Inquisitor in the trailer
Yeah.
looked like the Grand Inquisitor from Rebels having an anaphylactic shock.
I thought
Something-
it was like Pinhead. It was like Hellraiser.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
But that isn't a gripe. I think the trailer looks really cool. I'll come on to
cool.
my thoughts in a minute when you
Did he have a
guys.
spinning
About-
lightsaber? Was he spinning his lightsaber? At
The,
Yeah.
the
They
have
Inquisitors
that.
do.
That's
They have like
cool.
a
I
helicopter.
was like, how
type
come he's gonna
thing.
just slice him into bits?
No, it's pretty. They're pretty cool. It's going to be interesting to see all that. Like, I'm not.
Did you see the stuff
I think I've
from
said.
the game, the underwater base.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From the
I
game.
think I've said before that I'm more of a Rebels guy than a Clone Wars guy. I might be the only person in the world, but I've watched all of that and I really liked it. So to see now, Rebel stuff more coming in is cool to me. I don't know what they're gonna do. Like, you would expect Maul to show up if he hadn't showed up and done all of that he does in Rebels. You would expect him to be in this, but I don't think we need it. I think it'll be more about what else, how they fit everything else together.
Is he gonna come based on the music?
Yeah, I know, but it'd just be weird, right? Because then he's kind of in and out, like, because Rebels takes place how far away from this? What's it like?
Rebels is between
Another.
between 3 and 4, right? Or is it after?
I thought it was before 3. Sorry, before 4.
Yeah. Between. So
Yeah,
between 3 and 4.
3 and 4. Yeah. Which is where this is. Yeah.
Exactly.
But it's like a few. We're at opposite ends, I think. Where this is more at the start.
Okay, yeah.
That's at the end of that space, something like that. But it'd be weird. Like if Maul's obviously around, but it would be weird for him to come and go. To show up for what he needs to show up for.
I'm wondering if Cal Katzis from the game will show
That'd
up.
be cool.
Yeah.
The actor is him.
Sam.
Yeah,
Sam
it
Whit-
would be
Sam
cool.
Whit- where is it? Sam
No.
Whitman?
That's
Dominic something, I
Leach
think.
did.
Oh, okay.
Ginger. He was Joker in that.
In the Batman series, yeah. And he was in Shameless,
okay.
the one brother they
He's a
gave
good
back.
actor, so
I think for me, the thing that I took away from the Obi-Wan series, and I'm not knocking the Mandalorian, and I'm not knocking Boba Fett. I mean, they have their merits and they have their
here we go. Let's
they
knock
have
them.
they have their kind of flaws. But to me, I think tonally for me, Obi-Wan is kind of where my mindset is at in a Star Wars kind of setting. It kind of had a bit of atmosphere to it. It had a bit of kind of trying to think. It just felt a bit more epic. It had scale. It felt a bit more grandiose. It felt a bit more space opera-y.
Lightsabers, man.
Yeah,
That's it.
well, it just kind of, and I think,
And he hasn't had it in the trailer.
And
it's just he's got a blaster and shit, which is kind of cool. They're hiding
Yeah.
it, like he doesn't want to be seen to have it. Obviously, that's pretty
And
cool.
also,
The
like,
baddies
Obi-Wan-
So uncivilized.
Like the
Yeah.
Jedi hunters with their red lightsabers. That is so cool. So
but also
But-
like,
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
those-
Ewan McGregor has kind of a gravitas to him and it's kind of quite cool because when he was in the original trilogy, he was kind of like, we all know Ewan McGregor's a phenomenal actor, and we all know he's kind of got these indie credentials and stuff, and he never really kind of did that in those Star Wars films. But this kind of seemed from the trailer, and I'm taking it from the trailer, and it may be different in the series, but this seems like the Ewan McGregor we kind of wanted to see, or we kind of cool to see as a grizzled kind of, this is kind of him morphing more into a Qui-Gon kind of Jedi.
Yeah, well,
want to see kind of
it's like how he got
world weary.
in, like Revenge of the Sith. By the end of that, he kind of like really sort of
You were the chosen one.
got comfortable in the role, hadn't he? And he
Yeah.
was really good.
That's quite good.
You were my brother.
I think he held those. He was doing his very best to
Don't
make
do
those
it!
films good.
Have the high
He was
ground.
He was trying so hard, and I think everyone just wants to see him like be able to really have a good crack and make the character something and have be in a good product, you know. So I think everyone's rooting for it, and it does look very good. Like visually, it looks good. It looks interesting. It's funny because I was like, if they give me one more fucking thing on Tatooine in this goddamn Star Wars property, I'm gonna flip my fucking lid, right? And then it starts on Tatooine, and I'm like, oh, here we go. Because it just but it looks interesting and it looks good. It's more about like every time they go to Tatooine, it's fucking boring and they don't do anything. They just sit around talking about sand. Like, come on.
Kate goes like, where are we now? Mos Watspur.
Yeah.
But then you've got little Luke on his little thing, pretend to be a little pod racer dude, and then you kind of got all of that. It was kind of...
That was probably the worst thing. I'm like, don't do that.
Because he's obviously looking... I don't think Luke's going to play into it. I think that was just a bit of a kind of a thing.
Yeah, maybe he's going to ask somebody if they're an angel.
Luke's going to call him Ben. Luke's going to be like, Ben Kenobi?
Yeah. Are you Ben? Obi-Wan.
The old Ben.
Ben.
My name's Obi-Wan.
I like that Uncle Owen's back. Uncle Owen's going to have a crack right? and be... but same actor. Old Edgerton.
Yeah, Joel Edgerton.
Joel Edgerton, yeah. Aussie boy. Yeah. Well, that's the funny thing about those prequels is that like half the people in it are just Australian or New Zealand actors. It's one of those things I always say, like it gets distracting when things are made here, like The Matrix, like everyone's just from home and away.
Well, this is the rule, right? Isn't it? Like British actors play Americans and Australians play British, don't they? That's kind of generally how things go.
Yeah, we can do it all, mate. You know. Except for apparently keep Neighbours on the air for more than 37 years. Like,
you know what? They couldn't. Could they not have pushed it to 40? Could they not have eked that out?
I know.
Well, it's your. Has anyone ever?
Apparently, it was going to get cancelled like 15 years ago, but your mob over there that airs it has been paying Channel for the 5. Show for that long. Yeah. And then they were just like, nah, we don't want to pay for it anymore. So that's it. They're talking about heritage listing the street too over here, so they can't change the houses and shit.
So is it still filmed on the street? It's not. Is it? So it's not a set. It's
I think
still... Okay.
All the things inside have always been sets, but the exteriors, they still rock up to, and it's just like it's not even. It's like 20 minutes up the road, just a suburban street, like in an area where those houses should have been done up a long time ago. So they kind of have to list it so that they don't. Change them, I think.
Here's an interesting question. Obviously, we get Australian soaps and British soaps and sitcoms and things. Tom, what are German soaps and sitcoms like?
It's basically the same, but the production value is lower.
Oh, is it?
That's how I feel.
Das Friends.
But here, there's a little fun fact. I don't know who has seen Uncharted yet, but the beginning of Uncharted is in New York, but basically everything you see is Berlin. It's like I have been to the bar that it's playing at the beginning. You can see there's like, I don't know, we have this the street cleaners and everything. There's like this one big company and they have orange, and so you can see those orange trash cans all on, like basically in every scene. And it's like super weird to see like, oh, this is New York. Yeah, right. And so that's kind of fun to see that.
In Thor Ragnarok. In Thor Ragnarok, they, the bit where they've obviously like filmed it later. No, they go off to find old mate Odin, and they're just on the street, and I think he's got an umbrella instead of a. In that part, you're just like, oh, well, they're just standing around on an Aussie street. Like this is pretty obvious. They've added a building in the background, maybe, but it's always distracting.
Yeah.
Well, like the Batman is Liverpool and Glasgow.
Yeah,
I used to go to Glasgow a lot, and so I'm just like. I recognise that, but what they did really cleverly was adding in extra buildings. So the old buildings are always sort of like just what we've got in England, and then the skyscrapers and stuff. And
they did a really good job with that production design on the Batman. Just going back to that quickly in terms of.
Well, let's segue into the Batman.
Segue in.
So I'll segue that in.
That was one of my favorite. That was one of my favorite things.
I just did it.
You did, are you?
We can't. For everyone watching, we cannot see these things. Whatever he's doing, that is on Tom. If you don't like it, it's his fault.
Mention it in the comments.
It was really clever. Like, I think the kind of the way that they did Gotham Square and Gotham City and the production of all of that, it was kind of, it had its own identity. Like, again, I quite like the Nolan films, but it was kind of very much oh, okay, that's Chicago. Oh, okay, that's New York. What
Nolan was just real world.
Yeah.
Just the real.
What was really good with this one, it kind of created its own identity, like much like Tim Burton's did, but it kind of took the best parts of like Liverpool, Glasgow, I think Berlin and aspects of Chicago and other cities like that, and then layered that in. I think there was I noticed in the credits they had a matte painting department as well, so I'm assuming they did a load of that.
That's
It was
cool.
kind of Blade Runner-esque
They
in
did.
parts, but then also quite, but not too futuristic, but then a bit of neo-Gothic, and it always quite cohesive, like a city is, where you've got shit from different eras thrown together, but in its own kind of language. So it doesn't feel like it's all been built within a 3-year period. It feels like this place has a history that spans
Yeah.
decades and kind of almost centuries, and from different eras, from different architectural styles, and it has its own kind of identity. Wow, that was actually
Yeah.
a point that made sense. That made
Very
some
good.
sense.
Very true. It's
That-
one of the best things about the movie.
I could not stop looking at the city whenever it was on.
Mhm.
Like I would love to sit in a model, like the 3D model of that city or something. Like it was incredible, I thought. And that perfect juxtaposition, like when he does ride the bike around the corner through the square, and you're like, he's on cobblestones. That's a big fucking Gothic like church or whatever
Yeah.
with a bunch of LED screens just slapped onto the front of it. I'm like, that's the sickest shit ever. This is perfect for Batman now. Like it's so good.
I think that was 100%. That must have been Edinburgh, those cobblestones. I think that must have been part of
Glasgow.
Oh, Glasgow. Okay. But it makes sense. But it was kind of like Raid 71, like a Raid 71 city as well in terms of aspects of it, like the kind of Gotham Square where he kind of loops around that kind of de facto Times Square kind of area as well, and with the rain
Yeah,
and the
that was
neon
so
and
cool.
shit like that. It was pretty
And almost
amazing.
looks like there's too many buildings in this city. Like it's just it's overgrown, like it's outgrown itself, and they've just been playing catch up for like decades, throwing new stuff on top of it. It just looks so cool. And
It's
then
sort of got
there's
the
a
Manhattan
Batman
thing
in it.
going to it as well, hasn't it? Like being
Yeah.
like on an island or with the water. So
Yeah.
very claustrophobic. It's really cool.
But it's very clever. That was a really good point because, like, I can't remember whether it was Cataclysm or No Man's Land. It was kind of one of those kind of comics where I think Riddler flooded the city using those. And again, this is one thing that the film does exceptionally well. It doesn't really take bits wholesale from one particular story. It takes little chunks from loads of different Batman stories.
Yeah.
So you've kind of got that Riddler, that Edward. Like one thing that I find quite funny, and again, because I'm a Batman nerd and I know quite a lot. You've got Edward Nashton, Matt Reeves made that up, isn't he clever? No, he's not. That was New Earth. That was one of those. I think Jeff Johns was one of those guys, Edward Nashton, who changed his name to Edward Ning. But
he
it's one of
was
those little
thanked
things.
also in the back.
What's that? Sorry.
At the end of the credits, they thank Jeff Johns and other people as well, who, like story wise, I guess.
It was really because there was that whole chunk, wasn't there? And they kind of took that whole flooding bit where you kind of got the all of that kind of where Riddler flooded the city and all bits and bobs like that. And there's lots and lots of clever little Easter eggs as you can kind of, especially these three. It's those a lot of the story points were taken from those three books: The Dark Victory, Long Halloween, and Haunted Night.
Yeah, and they are bloody good stories, though.
They're very good, and this is literally just that. They're like, it's like I know they're saying like they took a lot of elements from other stuff, and they did. It's not literally that, but it's like, what if we just put this vibe into a film? It's just the overall feel of those books is this movie, and it's fucking sick.
It's fun.
It's so
People
cool.
in the chat, I'm sorry, James, that I interrupt you here. People in chat are saying also that No Man's Land was in there, and Long Halloween, Year One, and Court of Owls vibe. That's what CC.
Court of Owls is a really good.
Obviously.
And they're gonna do that. They're gonna do all that.
Better.
No doubt.
Court of Owls is a really good one because, like, what Court of Owls kind of did really well was kind of start to create that illusion that the Waynes maybe weren't all that they were set up to be and nice kind of being it. And again, and there was this undercurrent within the Gotham underworld and the Arkhams and the Gothams and stuff like that. And that the Waynes were kind of maybe not great people, but rather than taking again that whole chunk, it started to chip away at that. So again, you kind of it didn't take that whole storyline, but it took a little bit of that thread to create an element of that story. And
I like that. It's a lot different than like, oh, Spider-Man's parents were spies or whatever shit like that, when they just try to bring this thing that doesn't fit. But with him having billionaire parents that have been around and they're very powerful and all that, you can't be a great person and be a billionaire. It just doesn't work that way, because you wouldn't be a billionaire, because you would have the philanthropy that they're apparently doing would be constant, and all your money would be gone. You wouldn't be a billionaire anymore, because it's basically irresponsible to be one, you know. So that to me rings true when you're talking about these people that had a lot of power in this city. You know, they don't have to be assholes or anything, but like they need to have some flaws and have done some, had made some mistakes.
It's like what Matt Reeves kind of did here. He decided what characters he wanted in this film, and he went through all of the comics over the past, or a lot of the comics over the past X amount of years, and thought, okay, I like that moment from that character. I like that moment from that character. That's going to serve the story. That's going to serve the story. These are kind of going to marry up. Like, and again, big spoiler warning, when kind of when Selena reveals that Carmine's her dad, that's a thread from Dark Victory, I think, where she kind of alludes to the fact that Carmine Falcone's her dad in that one as well. And it's kind of like where it's not as overt in Dark Victory, she just more alludes to it. And again, because he wants those two characters and the overall arc of the story of where he's going, that particular moment from that particular comic serves this story very well. And I think that it's just his kind of attention to all of these comics. It's this world building. He's created this world, like with the comics. And if you know the backstories of all of it, and even if you don't know all of this, it serves very well, because you know there's this well-trodden, evolved world with all of these living, breathing characters that have a history, that are fully formed, that have these backgrounds, that are going to kind of exist before this film and exist after this film and exist between this film, that kind of have all of this stuff going on. It's incredible. I think.
I
really liked
like
how
that's all window dressing, though. And what I really liked about the film was that out of all the fucking Batman movies, this one has an actual strong character arc. Batman, main character.
It's a Batman movie. This
starts with him.
It is Batman.
Just beating people up and scaring them, and there's that gang that he beats up, right? And then the guy that he's meant to be saving is like, please don't hurt me. And he's just as scared as Batman, you know?
Because he's just a force in Gotham. Gotham, they don't really know where he's come from and what he's doing.
When he gets the baptism, the little kid is like, help me, Batman. And it is just
I could have done without the literal dropping into water.
But I thought that was so good, like the juxtaposition, because even the camera angles are the same, because the little kid's down helps him out. And it's just, he's not just about being something to scare criminals, but a hero as well.
What would you...
not done that in Batman movies, and that was brilliant.
Guys, what would you say is your favorite scene in from the movie? Personally, I have to say my favorite part is the beginning, like especially the scenes where it's all about the fear and with the shadows, and you can see the architecture of the city. And this is my favorite part of the movie.
That was really special, because it was like, all right, you know, like when you go to, you're hyped up for something, you sit in the cinema and you really don't know what it's going to be. And when he's narrating over the top of it, and there's like shots of the doorway, and then we've got those 3 shots of like the shadows and people looking into them, and you almost start to lean forward. It was when they were doing that, I was like, oh, this is what this is. All right, like here we go. I don't know if it was my favorite part, but I thought that was a pretty incredible way to start off a new Batman and give us everything we needed to know.
What's your favorite part,
really
though?
Oh, I don't know. It just, there's so much of it. It's that would be my only. That make I tell the worst part of it is that I think it's too long, and I don't say that about. I like long films if they need to be that long. We could have knocked off 15-20 minutes out of this just by not playing as much Nirvana, mate.
I was looking at the watch, and I was like,
I liked it.
It should be. Is it over now? Oh no, we have still 40 minutes to go.
The mystery didn't need to go on that. Like a rat with wings is a fucking bat, guys. You got everything else in 5 seconds, but you couldn't figure that out. Like, we did not need to go on about this long, but I would not chop any scenes out. I would just tighten everything up overall slightly,
But I
and we would
like that.
knock 20 minutes off.
I like
But
that.
it was for no
Batman just
purpose. There was no
standing
purpose.
around. Yeah, but just like that feel of him just stood and not really moving.
I think
like
I might have said this
in
to
the crime scene, and he's just like, and then
that stuff
he
was
just
really
looks at the clue that they've all missed. And
having
and that
Batman
when the
stand
other
in a
policeman,
room.
like, oh, what's he looking at? And then finds
Having Batman stand in a room with people and figure out with Gordon and the cops and figure out a crime, I was like, I can't believe we're getting this. This is it. This is Batman, and like him going back into those places later and like having a look on his own and all that sort of shit. It was just so fucking good. And there was just but I'm picking nits, so I want a little bit taken out. I think I said it to James like after, because me and him saw it before you guys, so we were talking about it for a couple of days without just on our own. And I think I said like, I don't know how many times I'll sit and watch this, like just sit in front of my tally and watch this when we can. But I will watch this 1,000 times, like while I'm working or whatever, because the atmosphere and the music and like all of that is just so sick. It's going to be the next Tron Legacy for me, the movie that you just put on in the background and it's just and you just live in. You just live in it.
Because it's just, you just want to be in with it. It's like warm.
I love Tron. It's the world, like, but you don't necessarily want to sit there for 2 hours and kind of watch a really weird looking Jeff Bridges. You know.
So Matt, how about yourself? What was your kind of favorite?
Currently, my favorite bit is when he goes back to the mayor's place, and then Catwoman's there and they're fighting, and it's when he holds her to be quiet, and it is just fucking proper weird, sexy sort of the breathing, and he's holding her while the cop comes to look, because these films nowadays, they don't have anything sexy in them. They don't have any sort of romance, and it was just,
or even tension. Like
it was
tension
really
like
like thick with it. It was like, okay, yeah, and it was kind of just good to see in a film like them just go for that.
Yeah.
Speaking of romance, I was kind of disappointed though that that they had this love story between the Catwoman's girlfriend. I forgot the name. Annika, yeah. That I mean, that they just basically hinted at it. I mean, I get it in terms of marketing, so they can play in lots of different markets, but it's kind of sad that they're not just going to go through with it and say she is bisexual or something like that.
Well, I think it's also like the whole, and because maybe it's just from knowing some of the books and stuff. You're like, oh, are they hookers? Like, what are they exactly? Are they into here? They're in this room. Like, I think a lot of it. You're right. They didn't want to go too hard. Like, they let him go pretty hard with some of the stuff. But you're right. It did feel like some stuff was just kind of hinted at or coasted around. Like, but to me, I read that as that they were together.
I read it,
at least kind of in and out.
But she's kind of like using her to get close to the mayor or whatever as well.
And the love story thing wasn't, to me, it wasn't. I didn't read a lot of it as that either, because she's more like baiting him, like she's using that kind of Catwoman's kind of characteristic sexuality and stuff to kind of like bait him into like, are you a dude in there? Like, what's going on? Can I get around? No one can get around him because he's this like stoic kind of figure. But she's like, but can I sneak around like this? Like, can I use this? So it was really cool. That's why I think some people have like, oh, it's dumb, they're making out, like what? Like, no, but that's what she's doing. Like, she's trying to get in there. I mean.
She's got the agency in that whole thing, and it's great. So, what did you like best, James?
Me, I liked the car chase scene.
So it was really good.
So
people had to die for nothing.
There was loads.
That's the Penguin's fault, though.
You live in Gotham.
Right, I'm going to come to that point in a second, Tom, because I agree with you. I had that. But here's how I'm reading this. I'll come to it in a second. So the car chase scene was good. Now, the reason I think the car chase scene was good is because car chase scenes in general can be quite boring because they've been done to death, and the hero is always going to come out and this, that, and the other. I think in this film, you always had this sense of jeopardy because he's shit at Batmaning at the minute. He's already fucking stalled the car, so we know that he doesn't know properly how to use the car to its full potential yet. Is he going to crash it? Blah, blah, blah. We know necessarily not, because we've already seen the end of the film. We've already seen the scene in the trailer where he's kind of tootling along towards the Penguin.
Yeah, but it's that. It's like that.
Yeah, it's how
cut that shot out, for Christ's sake. Like, what the
how
Well,
fuck?
that's awesome when he does that, and he's just
It's-
like looking at him. That's the coolest
yeah,
thing. I loved it.
Dumb.
Absolutely loved that.
how
That
it's
was dumb. It
executed
was incredible, man.
was really good. And like, I'm assuming that there were no fatalities in that accident, because had there been fatalities, then when they captured the penguin, they wouldn't have just let the penguin go. Commissioner Gordon would have, or Gordon, Lieutenant Gordon at that point, would have made sure they'd arrested him and taken him to prison for whatever. But then I don't know.
No
I'm
remains
kind of
left because they've been completely
charred.
incinerated.
Yeah. But again, it's like, but Batman didn't cause those accidents. That was caused by the Penguin, so he actually was stopping them. But anyway, fucking
Lateral
cool scene.
damage.
He
So,
didn't have a machine gun on top of the car or anything ridiculous like that. So at least it wasn't that far.
Yeah.
And he did say no guns, which I liked when he said no.
and
Yeah,
the
we
other,
don't
I
do
think,
that.
so I'm going to go for a twofer. So I think the other scene I really liked was in Madison Square, sorry, Gotham Square Gardens at the end, where they're fighting at the top, and he's kind of starting to get into the swing of Batmaning, but he specifically the point where he is like, "Ooh, smoke," and he's kind of uses that for the first time. I
When
thought
it all blows, it goes, and then he
Yeah,
flew
that was-
down. It was
that was
like,
pretty dope.
shit.
The fucking sound in the cinema when that roof blew,
Yeah.
I was like, fuck me, here we go. This is something. And he just like, because I like the way that he's like, he's rubbish at being, maybe my favorite overall thing was that he was shit at being Batman, right? Because it gives us something to build on. I like that. That's pretty cool. It was a choice too. It wasn't like in '89 when he's kind of shit at being Batman because he just can't move his body and he can't jump off. They don't have the effects and stuff to make him glide down nicely. He has to kind of just like fall down. But I like when he blows that roof and he just jumps in and he just hits he just lands. He doesn't and lands softly every time. He just fucking hits the ground. Like he's just a lump of solid mass. Like he has no real finesse.
Yeah,
it's great.
And I think I've just seen Tom write in the chat around Batman that he didn't really see Bruce Wayne in the kind of in the film. I think that what I liked about it, and I think I've seen a lot of
Bruce
people,
Wayne doesn't exist in this.
Yeah,
Like,
people moaning about this a bit online.
Playboy personality, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's got to learn. And not only is he learning how to be Batman, he's also got to start to learn how to be Bruce Wayne. And I kind of think this whole journey, this could be. I mean, there's endless possibilities. Me and Florrie have been talking about this quite a lot. There's endless possibilities that you could do with this Batman world now. Now
Robin, because they've got a phone, and it's like the 1966 TV series anyway.
Yeah. Auntie Harriet, Dolores.
I want Robin, and I want a bat pole because he's really high up.
Yeah,
and his gear is all the way down in the basement, so he should have a bat pole all the way down the skyscraper.
I thought the mayor's kid is going to be Robin. I thought they're going to do it because he looked like Red Hood.
Oh, they can't have another kid of privilege be like.
He looked like Red Hood though in the beginning. Remember?
Yeah. I loved the 1966 stuff in it, like when he ran down the side of the building. That was a cool shit. And the fact that it's got those goons in it, like the identical twins.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. And then they keep bringing them back as.
Yeah.
And they just get more and more fucked up.
Yeah. And then, like, for example, just stupid stuff like having the penguin taped up and then he's waddling.
There were, you know what, when you look into it, there were some incredibly funny moments. Yeah. Like just having the penguin was hilarious, and then Tweedledum and Tweedledee with the twins, which is kind of essentially I think what they were going for. They just didn't kind of call them that. They like he rocked up as Batman. He was like, you know who I am. Lets him in. Then when he rocks up as Bruce Wayne, he's kind of uses the same fucking line. It's hilarious. That to me is hilarious, and it's like
bit that got the laugh in our theater was you should have pulled that punch. I did. He just fucking smashes him.
Yeah,
I think
nice that he's not a brick shit house as well, and it's more like the Michael Keaton age where he's hard. He's like like Dirty Harry. Like Clint Eastwood wasn't a brick shit house; he was just hard.
Yeah,
Just like
Well,
a tough
Batman
guy.
shouldn't be big to me.
No, exactly. He
Batman
needs to
shouldn't
be
be big
fast.
because he's a detective and he's
it's like
smart.
Roadhouse Swayze, isn't it?
Yeah, rip a throat
Kind
out.
of like kind of ripped but really really lean, like me.
Exactly like you, James. Are you Batman? Is it
Well, he knows
Yeah.
he knows a lot about him.
I'm glad he
Yeah.
didn't do a
Knows lot about
Batman
him.
voice as well. He just a bit more slow in the way he spoke.
Yeah, it's
Kevin Conroy method. Just slower and lower, and it gets it across. It was really good.
It wouldn't surprise me if he puts on an affected, like when they go into this next kind of film or TV series or however they play it, or however he shows up next. It wouldn't surprise me if his Playboy Bruce Wayne
Yeah, it'll be
puts
like,
on more of an affected voice kind of
The
thing.
animated series Bruce Wayne was always like
Yeah,
really like
or starts to talk like R-Patz in Tenet kind of thing, how he does in that kind of
he's gonna be Twilight.
you know, that super suave kind of Robert Pattinson kind of thing.
I place it number 2 on my all Batman films list, straight
Number
after
2.
1989.
Let's
Moment.
Can we round it up if we're gonna go to our rankings here? Is there anything you didn't like so far? I mean, Flory had one point that he didn't like that much, but let's go over it and let's start with you, Matt. What didn't you like about the movie?
The only sort of thing that sort of bugged me in the whole film, and there's the length thing, but it's not a problem, was why did nobody notice him turn up in the Batmobile outside the factory?
It's got an electric motor.
I told you.
That's bullshit.
No, they've said that.
He's in the car with the engine off, and so cool, guys.
That's in the
When
art.
I turn it on, they're going to be really scared.
Is that actually true, James?
Yeah, I think some
the electric motor
Do
thing.
you know who designed the Batmobile?
Who did?
So it was Ash Thorpe designed the Batmobile. You know, the poster artist Ash Thorpe
The engine is actually just only for show.
So it's apparently, and again, I've been looking in forums and articles and stuff like this and things like that, and apparently it's got it's an electric engine, but it's got a jet engine as well, and like that's why
That's
on the car chase
mode, so
on the car chase scene, why it's making more of a squealing sound, because it's the electric engine makes the squealing sound, then he puts the jet thrusters on. Apparently,
Yeah, right.
Not gospel.
Well, that's what I
got
said.
a dark
Like
mode on it where it's quiet, and that's how he got there, and nobody saw him.
Yeah.
So what I said to my mates when we came out of it, because it was like that. What was up with that part? How did he get it into that? And I made it all up, and I think I said it to you guys after. I was like, it'll have an electric mode, and that all is just for show. All that shit's just for show, and for a boost to actually like smash the baddies when you need it. And they're like, oh, you're not fit. I made that up.
Problem with it now. That's explained. So the film is perfect. Is there any other
Except for the Joker, mate. The Joker.
Oh no, yeah, that's terrible. No need for that.
He's a really good actor, that kid too. But
Yeah.
I just don't know what the fuck they were trying to do there.
Just
They should have had the
yeah.
other scene that they were gonna, because apparently it was gonna be like a Hannibal Lecter-esque character where he would go and see him a couple of times. I'm like, that could have been something.
They cut it out,
because
though,
you would
right?
have given him a chance to.
Remember the end of Batman Forever when he's like, "I'm Batman."
Batman, you say?
Yeah, it was that. It was just that. It was really like tonally out of place. Them both like over
Yeah,
nothing.
But they're friends now. They have to laugh like that.
A friend.
It was bad.
Like, oh my goodness.
That was the one scene that was really must have been crowbarred in by the studio. Need the Joker, guys.
No, I think they did intend. I think Matt Reeves has tried to explain this a bit, and I think he's kind
But
of.
he's hardly going to say they made me fucking do it.
No, well, yeah, true, but I think he's kind of admitted it doesn't really. He kind of wishes they'd kept it in now because it kind of the two scenes need each other to work, but that he felt the second scene was kind of more important than the first kind of thing. But I do agree with
the other way around.
The whole thing. It wasn't important to the film or the story. The story was about Batman. It wasn't about the Riddler. I couldn't give a shit.
No, I like the idea of. I agree. I think it should have had the others. I think it should have had both or neither. I like the idea of the Riddler kind of being this kind of omnipresent kind of character that's already had this history prior to these films. And again, we've spoken about this online, but in my mind, I don't want a Joker as a main villain Batman film at this point. What I want is, and again, God, I sound so entitled. But what I would like to see is like in the next film we get a villain like a batshit villain like Freeze and maybe a Hugo Strange, and
Yeah,
because the DA's dead, you get like Harvey Dent as a DA. They're having to retrial Maroney because of what happened in the last one with Falcone, and kind of it's all this dodgy dealings going on. So at the end of that film, Maroney throws acid in the face of Dent. So in then the third film, you've got a full-on villain, a film with Harvey Dent, but you've earned it because in the second film you see him go through all of this as Dent. But all through this, you've got Joker kind of starting in Arkham to kind of pull together all of these villains that are adding up.
Yeah, and
And-
then he can get
That's cool.
like a space down at the docks, and they can have like all the dock workers be his goons, and they can all be like.
Because what? Yeah.
Like,
Well,
say what
then,
and
then in my mind,
and
it all
then
culminates
Batman will have
with
to get
like
rid of
a.
bomb, and he'll be running around. Oh, you just can't get rid of a bomb.
But then in my
That's
mind,
where
it
it's
all
going.
culminates like a fourth film or a fifth film where you've got Joker takes over Arkham Asylum or Arkham City, and you've got like a House of Horrors film or a City of Horrors film, like a game where
the game.
they're kind of you've got Joker kind of, and that's the Joker film where Joker's kind of then pulled all of these together, and that's where it all kind of culminates after you've had 10-15 years of all of these things building up.
Barbara, because they bring Barbara in, you do all that.
The reason Joker could work like that is because that's always been his thing, is that he manipulates people and he attracts the nutcases, right? Because he can say, he says to them what they need to hear. And we've already just seen that with Riddler. Like he got him on his side pretty quickly, right? So you can imagine from each film or whatever, and in between the stuff we don't see, villains are flooding into this Arkham joint because they're all escalating and going fucking nuts and wearing funny costumes. And as they come in, he's just like, "Oh, hi mate, you want to be on my team?" Yeah. And then in the third one, there's one of the things I've always wanted is just like an Arkham break in a film, because that happens constantly in the comics. Like they just break out and there's fucking nutcases everywhere. But I want it to be like, oh, it's not 50 guys in orange jumpsuits and then like one baddie, like in Batman Begins. I want everyone's on the streets, yeah? Like exactly. Everyone's on the streets.
One Dark Night, and the whole film could be over one night.
Oh, what if they have that? I wonder if no one's ever thought of that before. That's incredible.
That's what they need to call it, One Dark Night, and it's just.
Do you not know that that's a thing? No, because isn't that Jock's book?
That's Jock's current book.
Yeah, so he's doing it right now.
I'm not.
It's set over one night, and it's all the villains and all.
Yeah,
we'll do that with.
And
the
if
film,
they don't crib from that, I'd be surprised. Yeah, it's such a good idea. I haven't read any of it, but it sounds and it looks so good.
I save up for the collectors now because it's just too much of a hassle just to buy individual.
Read comics, like I said before, I've not read comics.
But then I do think, obviously, now they've announced this Arkham TV series, and it wouldn't surprise me if Barry Keoghan ends up being the lead in that almost with as Joker, which I think could be, I don't know, like with anything, you kind of have to keep an open mind. And I say, oh, it would be a shame. I did say that about Kenobi before. Kenobi, oh, it's a shame that they're going to do this, and then the trailer comes out and it's like, oh yeah, no, that's fucking cool. So you kind of have to just,
it's good, it's good. If it's bad, it's bad.
Yeah, you have to ride with it, don't you? I think that's the thing with fandom. I think sometimes we feel that there's a sense of propriety over these things, and there's not.
Him Thanos is a really good idea though, where he's just slowly sort of.
Mm-hmm.
And there's one big movie where he's like, all the baddies. So it's like the anti-Avengers, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's just.
What is it?
And
they have the big thing in the lake, that the skull in the lake thing. Like, what was it? The I can't remember what it was called in the old shitty cartoon series where they had the Society of Villains.
Yeah, you want that society of villains.
Yeah. Oh, God, it's gonna. Someone will know.
We might have to work on the name.
Silly meetings. I love it if the Joker's got a mustache, just like
just painted over.
Absolutely incredible.
I don't think he's gonna have much of a face by the look of things.
And makeup look weird.
It looks like they're cribbing off the Snyder Joe's Garage kind of thing, doesn't it?
Mainly because he's buzzed up to he's got the Peaky Blinders, like buzzed right up to the top there with the hair on top. It looked like
yeah.
From what you can see, and then he's all fucked up. I'd hope that looked weird.
They could just change that. I mean, like
exactly.
How much Thanos changed? They made Thanos not.
So just make it cool. Just make it look good. Like just make it look good. Just let him be able to act. Is my actual worry because that guy's got he's a good actor and he's got a good face and stuff. So
since Matt already mentioned his critique point here, how would you rate the movie then, Matt? Like, what would you say?
What, like,
Out of
give
10?
it a star rating?
Yeah.
Out of 10, I give it a 9 out of 10.
All right. James, how about you?
I would say eight or a 9. I'd go 9. I need to see it again.
You can also go half, by the way.
Yeah. I might change my mind after Tuesday. We're
No
going to go
halves.
see it on Tuesday.
I do need.
Yeah, I'm going to go see it
I
again.
need to see it again because I kind of said
They're going to
this.
see it tomorrow morning.
I came out of the cinema. I was so excited to see this film, and it kind of really. It was one of those, like with Ghostbusters Afterlife. I was so excited for it for years. This one, I was kind of like, I was aware of it coming out and I'm a Batman fan and knew about it, but it never really kind of piqued my excitement level until those trailers came out. So it kind of crept up on me and going in. And I came out and I was like, it was almost like shell shocked. You know, like you come out of a Marvel film and you kind of, oh my God, that was amazing. Oh my God, that was great.
I had that with Dune where I just felt like knocked out.
Yeah.
So intense.
And I kind of said I think I was talking to, I think Joe from Bottleneck I was having a chat with, and I said it was probably my 5th favorite Batman film. And I think since then I've just not stopped thinking about it, and I've not stopped kind of looking into it and reading stuff, and it's definitely gone up there. Batman, the first Batman, the Tim Burton Batman, is definitely still my favorite, and I think this is kind of flip-flopping between this and Batman Returns at the moment. I need to see it again. But for me at the moment, it's between an 8 and a 9. That's semantics. I know it's kind of so it's kind of like an 8.5. This 8, but it's really.
It could go up. Like Dune, I've watched it like 4 or 5 times now, and I've liked it more each time. This could go that way, or it could go the way of like The Dark Knight, which when I first saw The Dark Knight, I loved it and thought it was the most amazing film ever. And then every subsequent time I've watched it, I like it less. The point where I think Batman Begins is a far superior film than The Dark Knight. Joker aside, that film doesn't interest me very much at all.
The Dark Knight is an exercise in wasted opportunities. I think Two-Face is such a wasted opportunity. They did such a good effort. They made they did such a good job in building Harvey Dent up through that, only to have him turn to be Harvey Dent, to be Two-Face,
and then kill him,
then kind of cheapen him with how he's, I'm going to kill your family because you killed mine, and then him die. It just seemed like such a waste of all of that effort and all of that character arc. For me, he's a character that should have, like what
I agree. The Dark Knight doesn't hold up so well, I don't think.
No, it's just but again, I think that's the story.
This could go that way though, because I loved The Dark Knight the first time I saw it. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was the best Batman movie ever. And now I don't. I think Batman Begins is way better.
Well,
and this might be the same, or it might get better each time. Hey, I will say this: every time I watch Batman 1989, I just love everything.
Yeah.
Flory,
apart from the fact that Joker dies, but then I love the laughing box when he's dead.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So
Flory, how about you?
Sorry, Tom.
Yeah, I'd say probably sit around an 8.5 or whatever if we're doing half points. But like, I feel similar to James. It threw a lot at me, and I don't know if I got it all in there. Plus, we didn't do ourselves any favors. We went in for an 8:30 session the night after it came out.
Midnight,
so that meant it was like past midnight when we were getting in the car to start like having your little chit chat on the drive home. And I was just kind of like, fuck, that was a long ass movie. But the more I've thought about it, and again, like almost exactly the same as James, like I don't really listen to film soundtracks or anything like that. I'm like, in the film, I'm like, yeah, that was good. If it's not Moana or some shit, like if it's not a musical, then we're not listening to it. But like there's something in this thing. Like I've even been listening to that Nirvana song because it's not on the soundtrack. I just keep putting that
soundtrack on
loop, I'm just like, it just kind of gets me going. So I think I wasn't gonna go see it again, but I'm thinking, fuck it, I'll just take like an afternoon and go see it by myself or something in the middle of the day.
And the bat in the rafters, is it, or the bat in the track where the bat track is?
Yeah, it's all sick. Like Michael Giacchino was popping off, like he's going hard on this film. He did so well.
There's just, I think,
He's kind of the guy now, to be honest. Like he does all his films that he's done in the past fucking 10 years or whatever. They're always good, and this was like his. Yeah, no, I'm just gonna flex, like crack the knuckles, let's go, kind of thing.
he's the new John Williams, isn't he? I think in terms of atmospheric music, in terms of actually adding a.
Well, it's orchestral, yeah. It's not just
to noticing the score, but not in a bad way.
Yeah,
I like the James Horner stuff in it. There's quite a lot of it that sounds similar to like Star Trek: Wrath of Khan music, like but some of the Riddler stuff, and it's that sort of orchestral stuff, not just. Which works in a film, obviously, because Hans Zimmer stuff really works in a film. But I find Hans Zimmer stuff, a lot of it, hard to listen to.
It's very aggressive. Hans Zimmer stuff
But
sounds
this score,
like
I can listen to the score. I mean, there's some of it that's just really nice orchestral stuff, like the Catwoman stuff's really good.
It's a really proper job. He's done a proper job.
Proper job.
This is it. It's kind of
what
like
about you, Tom?
Sorry, Tom.
Yeah, how about you, Tom? What was your hated
I just
part?
wanted. Did you say the ranking for it before I'll start?
Ranking. I find that difficult, but you know, it's up there for sure. I mean, I think with Batman's, it's as much as it's sort of like, oh yeah, the sequels like a Dark Knight can some try and improve or give you more or whatever. I think once all is said and done, it's the excitement of a new thing and a new Batman world and a new Gotham and all that seems to have more staying power. Like if you look at it, it's 89, it's Batman Begins, it's this, and even like, you know, it's all the Affleck stuff's horrible, but like if you had to choose something he was in, it would probably be Batman versus Superman, the intro of him and all that sort of shit. Yeah, I'd put it. It's up there with probably above Begins, so sort of near the top there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. 89. Sometimes I even sort of. That's more of an exercise in like incredible design and like old school movie making.
Yeah.
Other than it's like it's its own thing because it's not that good at being Batman, but it's really good at being the 89 Batman.
Yeah,
I think that's why they've like continued that comic story. It's its own thing. It's like, but whereas this, I was like. They're giving us like what we've always wanted from what Batman should
the animated
be, you know?
Series Batman. The
Yeah.
Batman it's closest to is the animated series. Isn't it?
That's quite an interesting point because I think what you've kind of got to look at when you look at these things is what world do they exist in. I think the Tim Burton film for me is kind of my favorite film out of all of them. But you've got to appreciate that it's in its own self-contained little Tupperware box of Batman. That and Batman Returns, it's kind of okay. This is our version of this. We appreciate that. Yeah. Yes, we've killed villains, and yes, maybe this Batman and this Bruce Wayne does stuff that it doesn't do, but actually, this is its own little insular thing. And I think,
and the thing is, we didn't know that at the time. Anyone that was sitting there in 1992 watching that on a VHS, saying like, oh, well, you know, that he wouldn't actually do that to the Joker because, like, that's not what he does.
Like, no. You'll arrest him and put him and then, like, I didn't even know what Arkham Asylum was when I first watched Batman.
And then for most
people...
give
me the trading cards with the bubble gum and let me watch the fucking movie, okay?
Yeah. Which might be anyway. So, but then you've kind of got, like you say, then I think for most of us, the kind of the world door for like how what Batman's world looks like was the animated series in terms of, okay, this is what a rogues gallery looks like. This is how an open world kind of Batman looks like. And I think this kind of version of Batman is the closest that we've come. Well, it is the live action version of Batman the Animated Series almost in terms of what they're achieving so far in terms of based on one film and one film alone. But then that's kind of what Nolan kind of said. You know, that was the promise with Batman Begins almost, and you kind of got all of that killing Ra's al Ghul at the start aside. But I don't know. So it's quite interesting. But then you can't dismiss stuff like. I still have a soft spot for Batman Forever. Batman Forever was really good fun. And
which one was that? Is that with
not
Kilmer or
boiling acid?
Yeah, it's still fun to sit and watch. And like, was it Kevin Feige? There was Kevin Feige said that Batman and Robin was one of the most important superhero films ever made because it's just an exercise in just what not to do.
What not to do. Yeah.
But again, it still has a a charm. It has a.
Batman Robin is unwatchable. Batman Forever, I can watch that though. That's not unwatchable because it's
That was
60.
massive as a kid. Batman
It's
Forever was fucking
Holy
massive.
rusted metal or whatever he says.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was the
There's
coolest
holes.
shit ever. Like anyone that says they didn't like Robin's costume and how he had motorbikes and flipped around like a
He had
dickhead
like
in the
a bow staff, didn't he? As well as like knocking people
Yeah.
out with.
yeah, and the McDonald's glasses, was that an international thing? I don't know. Like we had all that crap as well.
You got like Jim Carrey as the Riddler. You'd got like
it was huge.
you know, you'd got what's his face as bloody Joker 2, and then
Lee Jones.
yeah, it
Going
was
absolutely fucking bonkers, that guy.
I don't like the kind of there's so many stories. I like the fact that how oh, why is his name just completely escaped me? The guy that played Two-Face.
Just said his name's Tommy Lee
Tommy Lee
Jones.
Tommy Lee
Jones.
Jones, yeah. That him and he absolutely
Worst.
hated Jim Carrey. And they had that kind of bust up. But yeah. No, it's what was it, 97?
I
97.
went to
there.
the cinema to see it. It was the first one I saw at a cinema, and I was just like so excited. I loved it because you know I had not seen a Batman film at the cinema. But I mean, I really loved the Adam West Batman as well, the original '66 movie and the show.
It's really,
And
really
that's
good.
what's going on with this new movie as well for me. I think like having a rogues gallery and all that is just brilliant.
Yeah. It's but anyway.
Tom, what do you reckon?
Yeah, what's your thoughts, Tom?
My thoughts. I think I ranked this movie the lowest from the four of us, and my problem. I mean, there's a bunch of things. And as I said, I enjoyed the soundtrack, and I enjoyed the first hour was really great, and the detective stuff. Obviously, I like that they didn't keep us. Basically, we already know what's going to happen because we were at the side of Batman doing his detective work. I think that was really well done, and so we didn't know before and just had to see it again. But my problem was like a couple smaller things, like thinking about like what did I just see there? Like I don't know.
If you say fucking blinking with those things in.
No, that's
There's blinking.
I'm gonna find a stream version. I'm gonna check. Oh, I'm gonna check tomorrow. I'm gonna prove that. But anyways, no, more like the stuff like in the beginning, he's like getting shot at with the assault rifles, but then he's getting blasted by a shotgun shot. What happened, bro? And like jumping off the
Point
tower.
blank range though, man.
He was like
Point blank in the stomach
Like,
as
he
well.
was
far away
point
from
blank
it.
with the assault rifle in the beginning with the gang, or was it the gang or whatever it was? It was like right there.
In the hallway.
Everything was bouncing off. It's like I was like, come on. And then later when he
it was. Oh,
and we're back.
the
We're
stream
back.
giving up.
All good.
Stream gave up.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody
Batman
left.
just took you down.
Yeah, exactly.
Batman took you down. He didn't like what you were saying.
But and like he jumped like from this from the police station thingy there, and then he crashed really hard. Come on.
Oh
Really
yeah,
hard.
he'd be dead.
And he just walked it off. It's
whiffed
like
it.
nothing.
He's so dead, and he's just like, "Ooh."
Yeah.
No concussion at all. Let's move
That was
on.
the worst CG in the whole movie.
And-
as well, when he did that, all that.
It was over the top for sure.
Yeah, and I mean this is just the fun bits, but like looking at it, like the five endings. Come on, we could have stopped an hour earlier than. Like,
Yeah.
I honestly don't think so
It's-
because I like that in film. It's like film earns that.
I think
If I'm honest, I have
earned it.
I
For
have
me, it
some of the same issues that Tom is mentioning as well, but they're minor to me. Like
Yeah.
I have all the same problems, but they're just I guess they don't.
I can
They
see
didn't,
why that would
they
be
didn't
a
affect
problem,
me as
isn't it?
much. Yeah.
I
I
agree.
agree, but I just didn't think it for me. It wasn't a problem because I just felt it earned the right to have that end and to have that disaster movie bit because it was like Batman and he's earned that. He's been kicking ass and he's
yeah, I get it. I mean,
comes
I
back
think
to
that's
that
a
tightness, right?
subjective.
tighten
think
everything
that,
up,
I think so. I agree with Tom. Like the one me and Nat, the one thing me and Nat discussed, my wife, when we came out the cinema, that after they caught him in the diner, it kind of really at that point felt that they were wrapping the film up to the point where it almost felt like on a song when you have a fade out of a guitar solo
but
to
it's
kind
an
of end out the song.
encore. That's what you get.
Yeah, and
When you're loving
no,
a film
exact-
that much, you get
For an
it's
hour.
like in a band. You see a band and,
Yeah.
and you think that was the best gig I've ever seen, and then they come out and play 4
Agreed.
more songs, and you're like, fuck yes!
Yes, yeah. But
That's what
I agree. But I think it just dropped off a little bit. And again, this is very minor in the grand scheme of things. This is kind of I'm really picking here because that payoff, that encore was fucking worth it, man. That was
the thing is, for me, it wasn't.
Up to the helicopter and that shot pulling away.
It took me out of the movie at this point, but it's okay. I mean, I understand what they were doing there, but also one of the things I didn't like was, we talked about it already about the Bruce thing. I would have loved to see a more rounded Batman Bruce combination, like in Batman Returns, where they give you everything, like from funny, from brooding, from action, and all of that stuff all combined. And I think, for most people out there, when you look through what are they thinking about, like what Batman should be, and I think they go for, this has to be Batman, this is the perfect incarnation of Batman. And I think it's not. I think Batman has all it, especially through the decades. And this is one of the things that I wish that I would have seen more. And also that they, with the plot points and story, that like they picked like everything from Chinatown 7, as Joe just mentions here, and so on, other stuff. They pulled that, but they didn't see it through. And I think that was like kind of like a sad thing. And especially the bad guy. I mean, come on. Didn't you know he's a bad guy? We have to find out the whole movie that he's a bad guy. Okay, Captain Obvious is on deck.
I mean, again, I'm not gonna say you're wrong to any of those points, because I think what, for me, it's how much those points that you're saying bother you in the grand scheme of things.
I think
how much do they take you out of it?
Plows through it for me completely and utterly.
Well, if I look at an 8 out of 10, like that's 80%, that's 20% stuff that I wasn't like psyched about, really. Like if you look at it that way, and I think that's about where I'd sit on it. Like that, there was something. I think you're right about the first half of the film
when she's on the helicopter.
Yeah, that's great.
That's
great. But then the 14 minutes falling into the water in a really awkward pose was weird. Like I didn't think
that was weird at all.
But this was more War for the Planet of the Apes, Matt Reeves, than Dawn of the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, I like War for the Planet of the Apes more than Dawn. I think War for the Planet of the Apes is wicked.
This is the funny thing. I go backwards and forwards.
War for the Planet of the Apes is mwah.
I think Rise is the best one. So no.
But yeah, so yeah, I think we could wrap it up in here. 7.5. 7.5 for me. For the movie.
Fair. I think that's fair.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think that's fair as well.
Yeah, those problems are all fully legitimate. I just don't care. When I like a film like that much, I just don't care about the problems. It's like the 1989 Batman, which I give a 10. Got so many problems with it. I just don't care because it's just a really good movie.
Why does he walk up that staircase so slowly?
Because he's coming for the Joker and he's just going to take his time.
But how about we're gonna look at
how heavy is latex? Latex is heavy.
Especially when you're sweating in it all day.
Yeah. And he's only 4'8" as well, so the real.
Can we look
so should we talk about something other? In fact, no. Should we wrap up the Batman segment with a bit of a giveaway? Let's wrap Batman segment.
Thank you.
With a little bit
of a
giveaway.
Segue.
Yeah. Matt on Facebook, on the Facebooks and on the socials and on the Twitterverses, you might have seen that Matt's done a really special headshot of R-Patz of the Batmans.
I pulled it up for the people, so they see.
Cool.
I like his jaw. He's got a really good back.
He's got a very good jaw.
It's bulletproof as well.
The way that they do the cowl.
Explosions.
Fireproof.
He is very lucky that no one shot him in the face, isn't he?
The explosion! Come on, the explosion!
He didn't have the target either, did he? Usually they say, well, he's got a target on his chest.
Oh, the knife thing in his chest is really cool. I was just one thing I'll talk about, and we'll get off this.
So much good shit we can talk about.
The Venom.
Well, that was what I was going to talk about.
Adrenaline. I just thought it was adrenaline.
I thought it was drops, but I was talking to my hairdresser today. And he was like, "Oh, wasn't it cool that they had Venom in it?" I was like, "Yes, okay, Ryan, yes, okay, let's get into
that. So it must be Bane. I thought it was just.
There's a few things in there where they can go that way or
either
not.
way, yeah.
I think that's what they're trying to do.
There has to be a reason it was bright green, I think, because
Yeah.
it was that was
Because
a
it's like comic.
anyway.
book shit.
But
And it
sorry,
made him rage and stuff. So
Yeah.
cool.
okay, back to the
Yes,
headshots.
back to
here.
the so
Giveaway,
Matt
yeah.
wants. So Matt wants to do a kind of a giveaway for the headshot. So I think we'll just kind of do a really stupid question. I think the first 10 are you giving away, Matt? 10?
I'm gonna give 10 of them away. Yeah.
So maybe
Is there 10
the
people
first.
watching?
Yeah, we've
Yeah,
got.
we're at 24.
Oh,
Oh,
thank goodness. So that's
So the first 10 people
terribly
in the chat to put what it was Martha's maiden name in the Batman, Matt? In the
What?
Batman film,
Matt
it
doesn't have an answer
establishes-
for that.
in this
it
film.
establishes that Martha Wayne has a very special maiden name
I
in
can't
the
remember
Batman
that
film.
shit. I was just gonna
I
say
do,
it
I
just
do.
says
Come
I'm
on.
vengeance. Just write I'm vengeance and you get it.
All right, okay.
Don't
It's
overcomplicate it.
Arkham. For the other people, it's Arkham. But
All right.
Yeah,
her
Wayne.
maiden name was
Arkham.
Arkham in the film.
I
So-
didn't catch that.
people are writing Arkham now.
Yeah.
This worked. Are we gonna do Arkham or not?
What? Just say
Yeah,
I'm Batman.
just give them the fucking things and
Just the first 10 people.
Okay,
Just give them
the first 10 people, guys. I think we're done.
this
I'm
happens.
gonna
every
call you
time.
out.
Seriously, man.
I'm gonna call the names out, and you message Matt directly, or what are we
Oh,
gonna do?
we can't
Just
even do a
message me and
giveaway
you might,
properly.
be lucky, and I might respond, and you might get one.
Okay, here we go. It's
And then you can
Bryce,
flip it on eBay because there's eBay.
Bryce Jackson, CC.
I'm not going to write these down.
No, you don't. I'm just telling the people who won. Bryce Jackson, CC3PO, Martin Burrow, Sean Columbus, Old Snow 5151, Michael Clark, Rob Mahone, Nick Friends, Trey Vick, and last but not least, Joe Wong.
Oh, you know what? I've not seen Joe Wong in years. I went to see.
Haven't seen anyone in years, man.
I went to see Blade Runner with Joe Wong.
We both
uh,
did
Yeah, in New York when it was premiered because we were in
When-
New York at the time.
when we were allowed.
It was lovely. Him and
It
his
was.
English wife. He's got a really nice, normal English wife.
They were a nice group that we went with there, wasn't it? It was a
English
nice summer
people
as
are
well.
better though because we like tea. I've had like 4 cups of tea.
That
By
seems
the way,
a lot.
people get it.
That's normal. I usually have more than that.
All the people in the Facebook group, get in there if you're not the Matt Ferguson Facebook group and coordinate that with Joe since he's the admin over there. And yeah, I think that helps.
There you go. Yeah, do it in the group. That's the best way.
Sweet. I've just got before we wrap up, I guess I've just got a couple of show and tell things to show the people. I'm starting like sound like you, Tom. We
Smash
had
that
a
like
couple.
button.
Smash that like, ring that bell.
That's even
We had a
better.
couple of.
What is it? You subscribe.
We had some new releases
Let's
this
Let's start
week,
doing subscribe.
so I just want to show some photos. So we had the Paul Mann.
Oh, that's the gold foil, yeah.
Yeah, so we had the Paul Mann gold foil
Very
released
shiny.
this week. Flash Gordon. So there's one of those in the flesh. In the flash. Hey.
No, get off.
Jesus Christ, this has taken a tumble, hasn't it?
And we've also had the printed copies of George Bletzis's Scott Pilgrim too. And these look dope. So these are on
Rainbow.
rainbow foil.
But the
By the way-
characters have got white.
Yeah,
on
holograms.
them.
Matt, by the way,
They-
Joe is
My
saying
lord.
that his wife appreciates highlighting her normal Englishness.
Yeah, but she's
No,
Australian.
it's Australian? Nah, I don't get that mixed up. Americans always think I'm Australian.
And they always think I'm English.
Do I think you're English?
Making it
So
clear.
before we wrap up for the evening, is there
What I
any
will say is
questions?
that she's always been a ray of normalcy in these events that I've done over in America. Because, people.
There you go.
No offense. Weird.
So,
Before we wrap up for the evening, is there any? Are there any questions in the comments thread? Has anyone got any
Oh
questions?
yeah, let's do a Q&A
Alright.
quick.
people had some laughs
Weren't
here.
you gonna give a Flash Gordon away tonight?
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
hold
we
up.
were gonna do.
I-
That was one of the reasons why I got one of the fucking things out. in
While
the
I
first
wanted
place.
to ask Matt
Yeah, but-
because Matt did
Who,
Matt
me?
did the type. So let's talk about it. type.
Type, I
Yeah.
did type, yeah.
What was the idea behind it? Let's get into that.
That logo is from the original teaser poster for Flash Gordon. Which is very limited.
We actually went through a few different iterations, didn't we, Matt? We were going to have different ones, but it just looked a bit weird.
Always.
Weird.
And then the other thought behind it was to write out the names of the people.
Yeah.
So that's what I did.
So we're going to
That's
give
it.
away. We're going to
Perfect.
give away a variant copy. So the variant's now completely sold out. So we're going to give a variant copy away plus a coin and pin set. So to the first person in the chat comments that says that lets us know who was the director of Flash Gordon.
So
I've
we're
got a
gonna do
question
the
about
other
that poster. I've got a question about that poster.
Go for it.
Did he include that container graphic element in the painting, or did you add that, Matthew?
It was in the painting, but I think it was something I asked him to do at this pencil sketch.
Okay.
Because I said I wanted something.
Yes,
To work as
because
a
he.
border.
Well, the reason I asked this is because he often does not. It's more of a painting with some space, so you can do whatever you need to do around it to
feel
turn
like
it,
I
which is
I
smart.
asked that.
Which is smart, but also I really like this because it actually feels like it's supposed to sit in a certain spot. I think it might be one of his very best paintings and posters there. I like that one.
Okay, we have a
Very
winner.
cool.
We have a winner.
So it's one of my favorite floating heads posters that he's done for sure. I think Jurassic Park
I
still
like
there
sexy.
is
I
my
like sexy Timothy Dalton
favourite.
at the bottom there as well.
So
Just
something
him with the sexy pose. I think that's absolutely on point.
Yeah.
So a fun little thing about this isn't this foil isn't actually, it's not a gold foil, is it, Matt?
No, it's
silver foil.
silver, but then obviously there's the gold ink on top.
Yeah,
So
that's
There
you
you
should get
go.
a nice two-tone effect. It's hard to see on camera, but like around Clytus, for example, his eyes shouldn't be foily, but his mask should be.
it is exactly that. It works really well. The printing kind of came out exactly
There's a
right.
slight two-tone effect to it.
Okay,
It is,
people.
and you can kind of see it on. You can see it on. I can't remember the princess's name.
Yeah, I
but
can see it from here.
you can see it on the princess's
Yeah, all
dress
the
as well.
metal
It kind
bits
of works really
show
well.
through more metally. And then it's
So sorry,
Yeah.
Tom.
Yeah, we have a
a
winner. It's the Great Movie Show. Mike Hodges is the obvious correct answer. And
Sweet.
yeah,
So
hit up
if he
James.
wants to drop us
Oh,
an
he's winning
email
shit,
to,
that kid. He won those headshots last time.
he did.
Hey.
info@vice-press.com.
Fast on the
Fastest
draw.
on the old Google, yeah.
We will
Yeah.
do. We'll be doing some. We're going to start doing more giveaways and competitions on
Publicly ones.
on Instagram and Facebook and things along those lines soon as well. So make sure you do.
Yeah, make sure you follow us on
those.
Twitter.
So Tom, have we had any questions? Anything up on there?
No, everybody's had a good time,
Sweet.
I guess, and they were chatting along while we were talking about the Batman. A lot of people seen it, so that's all good. And we get a cheers, everybody. Have a good weekend.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, everybody, for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Do give us a follow on the. Do give us a subscribe on the YouTube channel.
You don't have to.
We will be
Honestly,
back.
couldn't care less.
We will be back in 3 weeks' time for our regularly scheduled.
Okay, people.
Seriously, though,
Falling apart. It's falling apart.
I'm gonna put
3
the
weeks' time.
if you have
At 8 o'clock.
subscribed, hit unsubscribe. It's not.
And then hit unsubscribe, then hit resubscribe, and yeah, whatever. We'll be back in 3 weeks' time. Thank you very much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. We'll see you all soon.
don't forget to comment. Bye bye.